Welcome to Shadow Flight Tech for more interesting tech news. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The Sikorsky S-70, better known as the UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter, is finally set to be replaced. As Popular Science reports, the Black Hawk, a veteran of American aerial combat dating back to the Reagan-era conflicts in Central and South America, finally has a successor in the U.S. Army. The Black Hawk has been the chosen mount of U.S. cavalry units practically since they gave up horses. The first Black Hawk took to the skies in 1979, barely missing the Vietnam War, according to the U.S. Army. Air Cav and other Army units with aerial presence have sworn by the Black Hawk since. The craft's iconic silhouette has been sighted in skies across the world, delivering everything from destructive airstrikes in war zones to supplies and aid workers for the victims of disasters. The Black Hawk is also a core vehicle for America's allies, seeing service in the armed forces of countries from Australia to Turkey. The UK may even be buying more Black Hawks into service. An upgraded version of the old Warhorse is one of 4 candidates for the RAF's new medium helicopter competition, via the Defense Post. That said, America's strategic needs have changed since the 1970s. The new Black Hawk replacement technically won't be a helicopter at all. At least, not quite. The Army has tapped the V-280 Valor to fill the role. Here's what we know. The Valor isn't a conventional helicopter. Rather, it's a tiltrotor aircraft, a combination of a helicopter and a prop-driven airplane capable of vertical or linear flight. The tiltrotor concept isn't new, but has both literally and figuratively struggled to get off the ground. As Fortune reports, the V-280 Osprey, the first aircraft to implement the concept, was criticized for its poor safety record and cost-effectiveness during its prolonged development from 1983 to 2000, enduring several crashes and other ignominious failures. The Osprey has continued support in the U.S. Marine Corps and U.S. Navy, however, via real clear defense. Tiltrotors have since been widely deployed on military and civilian drones, via interesting engineering. The V-280 Valor is the most attention-grabbing deployment of tiltrotor aircraft yet. Built by Bell Flight, the Valor purports to be faster and more agile than a conventional helicopter, with a far greater operational range. In addition to its warfighting capabilities, Bell envisions roles for the Valor in medevac, utility, and humanitarian assistance. In Stratford, nowhere near as many jobs are at stake for Sikorsky after the Army opted for Bell's V-280 Valor tiltrotor aircraft as the replacement for the Sikorsky Black Hawk. But short of a reversal, or a major new contract for another Army helicopter for reconnaissance missions, Sikorsky could throttle down employment in the Bridgeport region by potentially thousands of jobs over the coming decades, as production shifts to Texas-based Bell and parent Textron to make potentially thousands of V-280 Valor aircraft as the Army's future workhorse. Sikorsky's 8,500 employees in Connecticut contributed to the completion of 110 aircraft last year, along with another 4,500 in other facilities. Sikorsky declined to make an executive available for questions on the impact of the Pentagon decision and any next steps by Sikorsky, to include the possibility of a formal bid protest based on any flaws it might find in the Bell proposal versus its own. The manufacturer's president addressed the contract last March during a forum sponsored by the Vertical Lift Society, asserting the military stood to gain not just in the flight characteristics of Defiant X, but by saving money in not having to undertake any major overhauls of air bases. It was evidently not a big enough deal to sway Army planners, who chose the Bell V-280 Valor. The Army is not revealing details of the basis for its decision, citing proprietary information. Multiple members of Connecticut's congressional delegation have signaled their intent to get more information from the Army, including U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal, who sits on the Senate Armed Services Committee, Representative Rosa DeLauro on the House Appropriations Committee, and Representative Joe Courtney on the House Armed Services Committee. Bell has yet to say where it would build the V-280 Valor. The Texas-based Textron subsidiary makes the V-22 Osprey aircraft in Amarillo, with the V-280 representing a smaller version of the tiltrotor aircraft. Texas, Connecticut, and Virginia share the 3 most expensive Pentagon programs today. The biggest is the F-35 Lightning II fighter jet, which was earmarked for $12 billion in spending in the 2022 fiscal year ending in October. Lockheed Martin assembles the F-35 in Fort Worth, Texas, strapping on F-135 jet engines there that are made in East Hartford by the Pratt & Whitney subsidiary of Raytheon Technologies. After the F-35, the next two biggest programs are split between Groton and Newport News, Virginia. The Columbia-class ballistic missile submarines now under construction by Groton-based General Dynamics Electric Boat as prime contractor, with Huntington Ingalls making key sections of the sub at Newport News Shipbuilding, and the Virginia class of attack subs built separately by Electric Boat and Newport News. Combined, the F-35 and two sub-programs gobbled up 23 cents of every dollar spent by the on new hardware in fiscal 2022. While no single Sikorsky helicopter cracks the top 15 Pentagon procurement programs today, the four models made in Stratford and Bridgeport today combined for nearly $4.1 billion in government revenue in fiscal 2022, a total that would rank fifth on the Pentagon wish list, behind the Arleigh Burke class of destroyers, which are made at General Dynamics Bath Iron Works shipyard in Maine, and a Huntington Ingalls shipyard in Mississippi. For Electric Boat President Kevin Graney, the memories are still fresh for his shipyard's trough just after the turn of the millennium, before it won the contracts for Virginia and then Columbia subs. Sikorsky faces no such immediate stretch of the doldrums, with a steady pipeline of work in the coming decade from the CH-53K King Stallion helicopter it is building for the U.S. Marine Corps, alongside Black Hawks, Jolly Green II rescue helicopters for the Air Force, and VH-92A transport helicopters for the White House, which will have a fleet of 23 in all. And Sikorsky still has high hopes for selling Black Hawk and King Stallion helicopters to other militaries, not to mention a civilian version of its Black Hawk as well for commercial use on the home front, after obtaining a Federal Aviation Administration certificate last year allowing it to do so. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tech news.